Let us continue. There are two basic rules for assigning probabilities. First, the probability of each event will be greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 1. That is, the range of outcomes, the range of probabilities of an event will be between 0 and 1. You cannot have a probability greater than 1, and you cannot have a probability less than 0. Second, the sum of the probabilities for all outcomes must equal 1. For instance, if the probability of heads is 1/2, the probability of tails is 1/2. Hence, the sum of the probabilities will be 1. There are three ways to think of how to assign probabilities. There is the classical point of view, where the probabilities are assigned based on the assuming that all outcomes are equally likely. There is the relative frequency point of view, where the probabilities are assigned based on the observed historical or experimental data. Finally, there is the subjective point of view, where the probabilities are assigned based on judgment or subjective considerations. This is an example of the classical method, rolling a die. It has 6 possible outcomes. Each outcome is equally likely. Hence, the probability that you will get a 3 when you roll a die is 1/6. The probability that you will get a 5 is 1/6, and so on. Now consider the relative frequency method. What you do here is you make an observation of how frequently the outcomes have happened in the past. So in this example of Lucas' stool rental, it observed the following outcomes. The number of polishers rented could be 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And it was observed that in 4 of the past 40 days, 0 were rented. In 6 of the past 40 days, 1 was rented. In 18 of the past 40 days, 2 were rented, and so on. Remember how to construct relative frequencies from chapters 2 and 3? That's what we will then use as the method. So, in 4 out of 40 days, or 0.1 of the times, 0 polishers are rented. And in 6 of the 40, that's approximately 0.15. Hence, you can use those relative frequencies as the probabilities. So in this case, there is a 10% chance that no polishers will be rented. There is a 25% chance that 3 polishers will be rented. With the subjective method, this is used when circumstances change rapidly, or we do not have enough data, or we have reason based on our experience and intuition to assign a probability to an event. And that assignment will then be a measure of our degree of belief, how strongly we believe that that outcome will occur. As the author notes, the best probability estimates often are obtained by combining the estimates from the classical or relative frequency approach with the subjective estimates. Here is an example. Bradley Investments, for instance. Remember the 8 possible outcomes? For instance, one is gain of 10 from Markley, gain of 8 from Collins. And Bradley then assigns a 20% probability to that outcome occurring. Consider another outcome. A profit of 10 from Markley and the loss of 2 from Collins. Bradley then assigns an 8% probability to that outcome. So as we can see, the probabilities on the right column are all subjectively determined, but they still conform to the 2 requirements. each outcome's probability ranges from 0 to 1. No less than 0, no more than 1. And if you add up all these probabilities, you will see that they will add up to 1. What then is an event? An event is a collection of sample points, where the probability of the event will be equal to the sum of the probabilities of the sample points that comprise the event. So what we need to do is identify all the sample points that are consistent with the event and add up the probability that comes with each sample point. Let us consider this more concretely. What is the event that Markley oil will be profitable? It will be just all those sample points where Markley has positive profits. So remember, it will be 10, 10, 5, and 5. If you will remember this from the tree diagram. What are the associated probabilities of the sample points? What is 20% for the first sample point, 8 for the second, 16 for the third, and 26 for the fourth, which adds up to 0.7, i.e. there is a 70% chance that Markley oil will be profitable. Note that this does not say anything about Collins. There are 4 outcomes where Markley is profitable. In 2 of those outcomes, Collins is not profitable, while in 2, Collins is profitable. But all we care about are the sample points or outcomes where Markley is profitable. Consider the above example and try computing for yourself what is the probability that Collins will be profitable. As you can see, there are also 4 possible outcomes where Collins is profitable. And as you will note, in 3 of those outcomes, Markley is also profitable, but in 1, Markley is not profitable. But that doesn't matter, because we only care about the outcomes where Collins is profitable. And as you will see, there is a 48% chance that Collins will be profitable.